Pearl Jam, Mind Your Manners, a very good reminder here on The Morning After with Nick and Big J as we're about to sit down with an Oscar nominee, Big J, for Leaving Las Vegas, a star of so many amazing movies from the 80s and 90s, from Adventures in Babysitting to the Back to the Future series to Hollow Man, Big J. And now she's got a brand new movie out. It is called The Good Half. It is hitting theaters on July 23rd and 25th. It's an honor and privilege to welcome onto the show Elsiabeth Shue. How are you, Miss Elsiabeth Shue?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for getting up early and spending some time with us and talking about the brand new movie, The Good Half. We appreciate your time.
Oh, of course. I'm so grateful that you guys are taking the time.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for publicizing it.
Of course. And I imagine a lot of movies at this point in scripts kind of cross your desk. What was it about The Good Half that kind of stuck out and said, this is something that I want to do?
Well, the writing was really excellent. I was excited to work with this cast. I think this is just an incredible cast. And the subject matter just really spoke to me. I don't think there's a human being alive who gets away from having to deal with loss. And I just loved the humor in it and the absurdity in it and the feeling of this family kind of trying desperately to come back together around this really tragic event, but in such a funny way that this just felt like just real, honest.
Yeah, grief is such it's a difficult thing to wrap your heads around because everybody responds to it in different ways. And it certainly gets pointed out in this movie how that operates. What was it like setting up for the fact that, you're playing a part and a role here that is the centerpiece of that. But we never really see the negative side of what your character is going through until the very end.
I really love that part of it. You never see me in a hospital bed. And I loved that. I thought that was really cool because it's not really about that. It's about how they're dealing with the aftermath and, a few flashbacks to kind of understand who she was and what she meant to them. But she's gone. And that's the tragedy. And what's interesting is to see how they are going to move forward together. So, yeah, I loved that part of it. And I really loved her character. I thought she was somebody who was very childish, frankly, and somebody who was not really able to deal with her own sickness in a way that was healthy, which I think is very real. She was in denial, and her kids were in denial, and I think a lot of families go through that.
Elsiabeth Shue joins us, star of the new movie called The Good Half. It's in theaters on the 23rd. It'll be here at the Flicks, playing locally. If you want to check it out at the great independent theater here in town, you definitely should. It's a fantastic film. And yeah, it's called The Good Half for a reason because, it is one of those things when we lose somebody, we kind of focus on the good things that we miss about them and the good times that we had. And sometimes it's hard for us to kind of overcome the bad stuff that happens to us or to them when they're going through it. And this is kind of the story about two children dealing with that and all the stuff that's left behind. Is there a personal aspect to this that you really enjoyed about the movie, or was it just about getting into a character that you wanted to try something out with?
I definitely loved the character, and as I said, I loved the cast. But, I've gone through loss in my life, and I just was so touched by the way it was handled, and I found it so moving and, as I said, honest. And so that I think that's what I really responded to.
With a character like Matt Walsh on the scene, of course, a lot of the stuff we know from him is comedic in general. What was it like, working with him and working behind the scenes? Did you guys try to make light of the situation based on how heavy the movie is?
Well, yeah, I think that's the brilliance of the film is really how funny it is. I mean, you're laughing out loud, and then, a few moments later, you're emotionally traumatized in some ways, just because the heaviness of what they're going through. But I think without the humor, I don't know. I think that would just be a downer. I don't know if I would want to go watch this movie if there wasn't so much humor in it. But Nick Jonas, I think, just carries it so beautifully. He really does as the centerpiece. His persona, his honesty, his just complexity, the complexity he creates in his character, is somebody that you want to follow and go through this with.
For sure. And Jay and I were just talking off the air. Robert Schwartzman directed the film, and we are a rock radio station. We know Robert from his time with Rooney, the band that he was in for all the years, and just recently learned that he has been a director and doing this for a pretty long time. What was it like working with Robert on the set?
Awesome. He's such a good human and so supportive of all his actors. I think he was, he's also an actor back in the day, so he understands what it's like to be one. And I think his musical talent, is really comes across in the film, the music that's chosen, and his bond with Nick. I mean, he opened for Nick Jonas back in the day.
It's so crazy.
And opened for the Jonas Brothers. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this here before we get get a chance to talk to you. But, we've been doing the show together for almost 17 years, Elisabeth. And every morning the show kicks off and our theme song is Joe Esposito's You're the Best Around. And it's been that way from the very beginning. We've had a couple different bands cover it for us, but you have been a part of our show from the very beginning.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. That song is awesome. How simple and yet so profound.
Right? It's everything in a pretty little package. But, Elisabeth, we certainly appreciate the time. We encourage people to check out The Good Half. It'll be out in theaters on the 23rd and 25th, Fathom event style, and then playing at the Flicks as well here in Boise. And thank you very much for the time, Elisabeth. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.